Hello Moon Fam, welcome back to another video. I hope you are excited. I'm so pumped for this video today, you guys. You guys know I love books. I used to work at a bookstore. It was dangerous. I'm obsessed with books. I love witchy books. I literally am obsessed. So I want to do more book reviews on here because I read so much, like I should be telling you guys about what I'm reading. So I thought it'd be so fun to start off our little book review series with some spicy witchcraft books. You heard that. I'm talking sex magic. We're going crazy, okay? So I have two books for you guys that I've read this year that we'll talk about how I'm feeling. I like it. I'm really into these. So I'm so excited to share them with you guys and to tell you what I think. And we're going to go over like the vibe of the book, what it goes through, because they are both very different books. What I loved about it, if there's anything that I didn't love about it, overall who I think it'd be good for, and if you should get it yourself. So yeah, if you guys don't know me, my name is Luna and I make witchy videos here on YouTube. I'm also on Instagram, Patreon. I do tarot and astrology readings on my website and on heyhero.com. So all of those links will be down below for you to check out. But let's just get into it. I'm so excited. Also, new setup. You guys like it? Are we vibing it? I think it's good. I'm excited to see what it looks like once I'm editing it. But so far, I'm loving it. So the first book that we're going to talk about is Sex Witch by Sophie St. Thomas, okay? And this was on my radar for a couple of months. On my Patreon, we do monthly book clubs, and I think I always compile a list of like 5-ish books per zodiac season, and I let my patrons vote, and then we choose our book. So I think this was in the running for Scorpio season. It's definitely been on my radar for a while. And it didn't win Scorpio season, which was sad, but I bought it for myself and I read it myself, and I'm so in love with this book. I love it so much, and I don't know why. weird thing here. It smells so good. I know I got it the same day as I got a Luna Lux box, so maybe the herbs from that like rubbed off, or maybe they put like I don't. The smell has stayed. It's a beautiful smell. It's very witchy. It smells like pretty herbs. I don't know, maybe she did some shit, because I wouldn't put it past her, Sophie St. Thomas. It smells so good. I know this is so weird. It smells so good though, okay? Anyway, looking at the back, I always like to look at who has said what about it. We've got Kristen Sollee. Fuck, I looked this up. I looked up her pronunciation before this video. Sollee. I'm so sorry if this is not right, but Kristen J. Sollee, which she may have wrote that book. So seeing that, I was like, first of all, Gabriella Herstick, she's my favorite author. You guys know that. Publishers Weekly, who gives a shit. But anyway, I always look at who said what, and then I'm like, okay, it'll tell me like what kind of vibe, what kind of people are thinking. You know what I'm saying? So the reviews were so cute. I was like, this seems really cool. I think the cover's really fun. I think it's really unique, and I love that this is just nothing that matters, but she uses this really cool font within it, and I just like it when we play with fonts. Let's play with fonts more, okay? I think we should. So it's a pretty easy read. This I thought was such an easy read, honestly, because not only is it not a very big book, it's also so much of a spell book. So it's a lot of like spells, right? So it's not like heavy reading. Nothing in this is intellectually intense to the point where you're just like, oh God, I need to like comprehend what I just read. You guys, I have ADHD, I'm neurodivergent, I totally feel you. Sometimes I have books where I have to literally take breaks and just like let it sink in for me to fully understand. This book was not like that. It's very fun. It's very, it's just easy to understand. It's not a lot of complicated subjects, so that's great. I will say her tone in this book is so cute and fun. It's very casual, which I love when people can be casual. I'm not a huge fan of like putting up professional fronts. I mean, you guys know me here. Like, I'm very chill. I like it when things feel very personable and very, just kind of like you're talking to them. And it really feels like that. She makes a lot of really stupid jokes that I love. There's a couple in here. She says, before we move on to the spellbook portion of this book, which will help you summon such a partner, let's review some magical basics. Why are Capricorns like that? And I like that. Like, she just makes these silly jokes throughout, and I think that they're really fun. It's my same kind of humor, which is kind of dry and silly, and I just really enjoy it. So yeah, her tone is really great. It feels very casual, very chill, like a friend. So she has a section. The first section is magical basics, which I, you know, obviously have been doing witchcraft a while, but I understand these, you know, so it's like, it's in every book. You have to go through the basics in each book, which I think is good. So if you are new to witchcraft, or you're still beginning and you're just like, you know, not feeling like, you know, you're feeling like maybe you could review the basics every so often, and even I do. I think everybody should review the basics, because sometimes there's little things that you never heard before. So she definitely goes into different types of magic, very basic level things. She goes into candle magic. What I really liked that, I like her take on hexing, baneful magic. I feel like there's a lot of talk in the witchy community where it's just like, don't do it. If you do it, you're a bad person. Don't do it. Rule of 3. And it's like, obviously, not all of us follow the rule of 3. Not all of us are Wiccan. And I think, personally, this is a personal note, I feel like, you know, if you hex a predator, I don't think it's going to come back to you unless you yourself become a predator in the future. In which case, I think it should come back. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, I'm not a huge fan of, like, the very prudish rule of 3 vibes, and she actually says, yeah, so also what I like is that she's also not like pushing like hex everybody, like someone wrongs you, fuck them up, because I also don't think that's great either. There's definitely a balance, which I just don't think is talked about. It's like two extremes. But so she talks about that, like, you can, instead of hexing every ex, you can bind someone who's harassing you, and it's like a ladder. Like, if somebody's harassing you, do a freezer spell, bind them, you know, do a mirror spell. You have all these steps. And then if somebody is being predatory, abusive, things like that, she says, and if someone doesn't want to get hexed, then maybe they shouldn't be a predator. I fucking love that. She says, we're only protecting you and going after those who use violence to bend the will of others. So I really like that she does that. I feel like I am on like the same page with her in terms of baneful magic and stuff like that. So I just feel like she has really good ethics, really good ideas within this book. She goes into the elements. She also, I don't know if you guys know this about Sophie St. Thomas, but she's a little weed girl, and I love that about her. She has a book called, like something your higher self. It's about cannabis, and I think she's coming out with another one, which I'm so excited about. So she does talk about cannabis here. She talks about herbs. So she really does go into the basics. She even, which I think is really cool, she goes into the tarot, and she provides very, very, very brief definitions of each cards, brief explanations of each cards, and she does it in relation to sex magic, which I really like. So I liked having that extra view of like tarot in terms of sex, right? So I thought that was really cool. Again, she's like really, really funny throughout, goes into a bit of astrology, deities, stuff like that. And she actually has a chapter called Sex Ed, which I think is so amazing. I think something to note about this book is it's not just a witchy spell book. It is a lot of spells and like a lot of witchy things. But she actually takes this time to go into teaching the things that a lot of us were not taught, okay? She goes into gender identity, sexual orientations, consent, and she actually goes into kink a lot, which I think is really, really cool. She talks a lot about BDSM. Lots of things there were new to me and I thought were so interesting to learn. I just like that she also took that extra step to do very like practical teachings, things that a lot of us don't know, but if we're doing sex magic, we probably should know. So I just really appreciate when people do that kind of stuff. I don't know, it was so great. and then she goes into her spells. So there are 7 different chapters of different types of spells. We got magic for self-love, seduction, sex, love, protection, revenge, and healing. And so she has different spells, and she also has like little apothecary items, things to create. So yeah, she has recipes for incense, smoke blends, oils, things like that, which I really like. I've been getting into my own apothecary, and I actually created an oil on the full moon in Libra that was inspired by her recipe here. And this book is very, very pro sex work and very pro trans rights, which is so important to me. And as you guys know, I used to be a dancer, and I've definitely had a few years in the sex work industry, and so it's something that's very near and dear to my heart. So seeing somebody being so pro-sex work is really important to me, and I feel like it's necessary, especially in the climate that we live in. So I really was personally very, relieved and grateful to see that. And it's just very LGBTQ plus friendly. It's really, I think, just a great book, honestly. So I rambled about that for a while, but truly, if you are wanting to get into sex magic, even if you've been getting into sex magic, I think this is a great book for everyone, regardless of your level. It's obviously very great for beginners because it does like slowly ease you into what is magic, what are we doing here. She goes over a lot of different divination techniques, herbs, things like that. So it's very great for beginners, but also there's just so many great spells that just go through a broad variety of events in your life or things, and it's not all strictly like sex. It's love, protection, dealing with crazy exes, like stuff like that. So it's very versatile. I really, really love it. Overall, this was an amazing book. I am so into this. So yeah, definitely, I feel like this is great for everybody. I think everyone should, I think even just the basics that it takes in, I don't think that was a sentence. That doesn't make any sense. The fact that she does go so in depth into gender identity, sexual orientation, and BDSM, like there's so much you can learn. There's so much about kink and consent, and then of course that within witchcraft that you can learn. I just think it's great. I think everyone can definitely learn from this. Obviously 18 plus, I guess. So, do what you will, but I think that it's so good because it goes into so many amazing things within magical, sex, witchery, and just, normal being a human being and having sexual needs vibes. You know what I'm saying? So amazing. I love this. You have to get it. I think it's so great. Alrighty, so we've got our next book, which is called Witches, Sluts, Feminists by Kristen J. Sollee. So this I also had on my radar for a while, and it also might have been on the Scorpio Book Club list. I was so intrigued by this because this is me, right? So I was just really intrigued. I didn't know what it was going to be about. And it says conjuring the sex positive. So I was like, let's go, boys. I'm excited. This is not a witchcraft book per se. I mean, at all. I don't know if I can't remember if there's any. There might be a spell or two in here. So while this isn't a spell book like the other one, or it's not teaching you about witchcraft, it is inherently about witchcraft. And I think more so it's politics and it's ethics. And I don't mean that in a sort of political, like left, right, whatever kind of way. I mean, like what life has been like socially for witches, sluts, and feminists. And honestly, women and people in marginalized categories forever, okay? It goes into so much. I learned so much from this book, okay? I love this. I learned so much from this book, and a lot of it made me upset. But it's the pursuit of knowledge, right? Some of the things you learn are going to make you upset, but it's better to know them than to not. And so I took so many notes in this book. This is definitely a book that is a lot more, intellectual in the sense of, she is a college professor. She teaches undergraduate gender studies. And I think this comes in it feels to me like a college lecture, but like the coolest college lecture you ever had. it is definitely like I'm sitting there taking notes in class is how it feels. But it's so entertaining. She writes in such a, I don't know, just super intriguing way. It always is, I don't know, it's never dull, but it's very intellectual, if that makes sense. It is really small. It's a really tiny book. Pretty quick read, you know, but it is like, I think anything that has to do with social issues or you know, sexism, things like that, I always let myself have some extra time when reading that, because I just like can't hear about it all the time. It makes me sad. But I do think that the way she writes, it's not like doom and gloom. It's not like, man, look how shitty things were. It's like, man, things were shitty. We need to be better. And like, here are some things to know and ways to be better. So obviously she goes into all the different histories, obviously not all of them, but a good amount of histories of people who were witches, people who were sex positive, and you know, LGBTQ plus folks, women in general, and obviously how that relates to racism as well, not only in the US, but also in all parts of the world and through all times. And so it is so interesting, you guys. There's so much to learn here. She goes through Salem, she goes through reproductive rights, she goes through political rebellions. I felt like this book taught me the things, now sounds like Bailey Sarian, this is dark history. This book really did teach me the things that my teachers did not teach me about in school. It is crazy how much history is kind of withheld from us, especially history of the oppressed. So women, people of color, and it's so interesting. And I will say, I don't think this is an inherently political book. I don't think that it's, like, I feel like sometimes people are, like, nervous to read books that seem political. I don't think this is political. This is straight up just, like, human rights. Like, you know what I'm saying? So it's something that I think all of us should read. I even told my husband, who's obviously not a witch, I was like, you should read this, because this is just so interesting, and there's so many things that we just like never learned about. And especially growing up in the Midwest, like I feel like there was so much that I learned about. And this is actually where I learned about Victoria Woodhull from. I talked about her in my Bad Bitches of History episode. Check out my podcast if you guys haven't already. And like so many super integral people who have done so much for like women and witches and sex positivity. And she interviews a ton of different people in this as well, so that they kind of give their opinions on things, give their thoughts and their experiences as well. So I'll read you the back. It says, Witch, Slut, Feminist. These contested identities are informing millennial women as they counter a torturous history of misogyny with empowerment. This innovative primer highlights sexual liberation as it traces the lineage of witch feminism, juxtaposing scholarly research on the demonization of women and female sexuality that has continued since the witch hunts of the early modern era, with pop culture analysis and interviews with activists, artists, scholars, and practitioners of witchcraft. This book greatly enriches our current conversations about reproductive rights, sexual pleasure, queer identity, pornography, sex work, and more. So, as you can see, yeah, it's very scholarly. It's very researched and well backed by like actual sources, science, and history in general. So I really love that. Like I said, it feels like being in a cool witch, sex, like feminist class. It's so cool. I mean, I just really liked it. I think this, again, is something that everybody could benefit from. I don't think this is like an 18 plus book, because it's really just history. But yeah, I just feel like this book was so informative. I had so many moments reading this book where I was like, holy shit, that happened? Like that makes so much sense. And you can really trace like the lineage of misogyny and things like that, and how that relates to witchcraft. And so I think that that's really interesting, and I think that as people who identify as witches or people within the spiritual community, I think it's important that we are aware of history and, can really stand up for ourselves, our rights, and the rights of others, because I do believe that witchcraft at the core is political in the sense of it's always been the oppressed who were, you know, accused of witchcraft in the past, and it's been a sort of derogatory term to other people. And so I think reclaiming that word as witches and as people who, you know, we're here to like raise the vibration, have a good time, like hope that we can bring peace to the world. I think that it's kind of our job to keep the peace and keep the peace in whatever way we need to. So making room for everybody and not falling complacent to oppression and to racism and misogyny and homophobia within the world and within the laws. So I do find witchcraft inherently political, you know, and that's like a big thing. I think in the witchy community right now, half people think that and the other half don't. But as for me, I think that as witches, it's our job to be a voice for the oppressed, especially when we are in a place of privilege to do so. So that's my little ramble. Yeah, again, such a good book. I really loved this. I'm so excited to have shared these books with you guys today. These both, like, after reading them, became top favorites for me. They are just so good and so rich with information and liberation, truly. And that's kind of what I'm here for. That's the whole bad bitch energy, right? We are just here to live our lives free of oppression, and this is fucking knowledge, and knowledge is power. So I really encourage you to check out these books, and I think you'll really like them. If you've already read them, let me know in the comments what you think, and let me know if you decide to get them. I will have links for them down below. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and let me know if there's specific books or like genres of witchy books that you'd like me to talk about next time. I'm really excited to keep doing this series. I think that it's really good, and I love talking about books. I could literally ramble forever. So that is all from me. I hope you guys enjoyed. I hope you're having a wonderful day, and I will see you guys next time. Bye!